Go ahead, Dr. Revison. I'm going to pull up the agenda.
Okay, well, good evening and welcome to week 12. Am I correct on that week,
That is
Dr.
correct.
Stedman?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are every week you are winding down a little bit more. And I just want to do a couple shout outs, if I could, about the APTEL Research and Development Zoom assignment. I want to shout out to Priscilla Brewer. I'll get it out of my mouth in a minute. And her team, which consisted of Kim Arnett, Vanessa, and Erica. You guys did an amazing job, one of the best I've ever seen. And kudos to Priscilla. She was very prepared, Dr. Stedman. She had the agenda and she had very meaningful questions. Now, we don't give you questions on this one, and that's purposeful because what we want you to learn is just like in the classroom as a teacher, you know that you just don't pull a meaningful question out of the air. Those types of questions need to be thought about. And so when you're facilitating meetings with adults, or whether it's an instructional meeting or whether it's a principal meeting, you want to make sure that you really plan meaningful questions to solicit information that you want to get back. And so they just did an amazing job. And they ended their session with describing and talking about one researcher um, whose work really resonated with them. And so just almost perfect Zoom meeting. So congratulations, Team One. Dr. Stedman, I'm sure you had some good ones
Well,
too.
yeah, and all the groups did well. They did very, very well. But I do want to because she's been kind of quiet this semester, but you can't always those quiet ones can once you get to know them, they can be a force to be reckoned with. And I just want to say kudos to Salita Carter for leading her team. Salita, I saw what I needed to see, Salita. I saw the leadership. I heard things from you that I had not heard the whole semester. And I just want to say you did an amazing job leading your team. I enjoyed all of them, but I really liked seeing how you seem to have come out of that shell, and you showed me what I wanted to see. So, thank you for that. So, but overall, Dr. Revis, they did great. I do want to say that I've started getting task threes in. I've got about half of mine already in. I've already I've given feedback on them already, and I couldn't be more pleased with the caliber of work that's coming in, and the leadership that I'm seeing and the growth. And I've said it in my comments back, just how much I have seen. Uh, I mean, just in 12 weeks, I remember that first time, and I've said it again. I literally remember I put the hat on, and I said, had a sign in front of it. I said, "This is the teacher hat. You got to take it off and put the principal hat on." I've seen it happen, Dr. Revis. I have seen it happen. I have seen, and I think that many of them have surprised themselves, and they have said um, so in their comments that they didn't realize just how empowering this program was going to be so quickly for them, and that they felt empowered and very confident in what they were doing. That has come across in some things as well. And so that's what it's all about, and that's what Dr. Revis and I need to see, and what we want to see at this stage in the class. So great job. This
You've
is what
come
I
a, you've you've
go
come a
ahead.
long way since that first task when you had
Mhm.
to ask your principal to pull together a PLC. And I remember some of you guys were very, very timid and worried about what asking, your colleagues to be a member and doing something in addition to what they're already doing and already being overworked. You've come a long way. And it's rewarding to us as your instructors to see that growth, and which is one reason why I enjoy teaching in 601.
Dr. Revis, I want to say too that one of the things I've noticed about this class, and having had yours for those couple of weeks when you were out of commission, I was able to really learn your students on a much more intimate basis as well. But one of the things that I can say about both groups, we can give them the feedback, and for as a normal rule, I don't have to go beyond that. They take it and they do what needs to be done and move on. And it has not, for the most part, it hasn't belabored you know, several times of us having to look at the same stuff over and over again for the majority of them. And that is great that you can take the feedback, you can do what needs to be done, and you move on, and you have done it for the most part. I would say thank you for that as well.
I
um,
agree, Dr. Stedman.
but this is what it's going to look. Well, let's go ahead and just let's get to the chase. We're not going to go over AAPTEL Task 3 again. We will answer questions. At this point, for Dr. Revis and or me, both, um, are there any questions as you are finishing up Task 3? Remember that Task 3 must be to us by tomorrow afternoon for peer and instructor review. And then it's due by Friday. Well, I'll look down there. I can't remember. I think well, let me look at it. I don't want to tell a story because I've changed so much. We've had
It's Sunday. It's Sunday
It's
evening.
Sunday. So
Yeah.
it's Sunday that it's due. Yeah. It's the peer reviews that's due by Friday. That's what it is. But any questions about the AAPTEL Task 3? Well, I guess that's good, Dr. Revis. We're
Great.
going we're going to look at Task 4 tonight, which is a quick review. We're going to um, go over the requirements again for case study 2. I don't have it on there, but I'll give a reminder about, some of you probably by the end of the week are going to be ready to start putting all this together, and we'll talk about that at the very end. But let's just quickly look at this week 12 responsibilities, and we've put out by the side so it would not, to help you and help us too. Um, AAPTEL Task 3 due for peer and instructor review by tomorrow evening. AAPTEL Task, and Dr. Revis, I think you've gotten a lot of yours too already.
I have. I've got at least four.
Yeah. AAPTEL Task 3 peer reviews um, by Friday. You go ahead and get it knocked out. And these are your last ones. Yay, I know you're happy about that. AAPTEL Task 3 due to this Sunday for a final grade. AAPTEL Task 4. Now remember, these are the remaining 9 competencies that we're going to talk about. This is due um, by 6 o'clock Sunday as well. But now what you will need to do is that you will it's Sunday, and then by next week you'll have to, if there's any problems, you'll have to get it corrected and turned in to us. I think, what is that, next Tuesday? Next Tuesday by class time anyway, that if there's any corrections to be done on that. But this tells you, and there's no peer reviews for Task 4. So, that's what. And then, just as a note, next week, we're not coming online again because this gives you an opportunity um, to work and to try to pull all of this together. It's giving you some work time. Um, You may decide that next Tuesday you want to go ahead and, since you're planning on class anyway, go ahead and meet with your case study, get it all done, and get your case study done during that time, and go ahead and knock it out. But that is, and I've kept this on here as well. These are again the changes that we made for you to be aware of. So anything as we go through this, anything at all about the due dates, everybody understand the changes and to follow what we've got on here and the calendar that's in your course shell? Any questions about any of that? Let me minimize that. Dr. Revis, I'm going to pull up Revis, let's just talk about task 4 and just remind them of what the requirements are for task 4.
Okay, so this should be a pretty simple task. If you do all the work, there's no PLC or anything like that. You're just doing reflections, just like you did for the APSL. Now, there are 9 competencies left, and there's a list of them. And what you do for each competency, you start out, you don't have to tell what that competency is about. It's already there. I know some of you like to give a little lead in. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary. We just want to see this. During my coursework, and tell how you demonstrated the competency. During my clinical experiences, And so I would expect 2 well-developed paragraphs, a summary of a reflection from your coursework and a summary from your clinical. Now, we are allowing you to count some of your coursework hours for clinical, but for this particular assignment, when you're talking about clinical experiences, it needs to be things other than the APTEL or the APSO. Okay? Let
Okay,
me
are
say that
there
one
any,
more time.
go ahead.
We allow you in your clinical log to count what you do for the APTEL in your clinical log. But for task 4, when it talks about clinical, in my clinical, it needs to be something different than the work you are doing on the APTEL. Okay?
Are there any questions about what you've got to do for task 4? It's the same thing you did for task 5 of the APSL, identical. The only thing is the remaining 9 competencies of the 21 that you have not used.
Any
Now, Revis,
questions?
we have not pulled this out, but I felt like that they needed to look at this because of where we are. This is actually what your evaluators are going to be using when your combined APTEL goes to them. So I want you to look at this last column. If Dr. Revis and I have approved your work, we at least know that you are proficient. We know that. But we know that we want, and you want, to be accomplished. Now, this is what they're going to look at, and we have no control over this. Now, I want you to notice what's in boldface print and what is underlined. Dr. Revis, they look at this, and if it does not meet what they think defines that, we've had several students that have been marked to a proficient level, a 3, because they did not feel like it was extensive enough, or they did not feel like it was thorough enough. So even if you may go back and look at it when you put it together, and if you say, after looking at this, I may need to add another somebody in there for the literature review. That's okay. Just make sure you do it right, correctly, before you put it in there and send it to us. So you can do it. But where I'm looking at task 1. Okay, that that should have already done. For task 1, it says that the candidate develops an extensive literature review. Now, we said that you had to have a minimum of 3 references in there, but extensive means that when they look at it, that it covers what it needs to cover. You can cover extensively with 3 if you've done your work well. That is thoroughly aligned with the best practice areas identified in the prompt. Notice those key words. Now notice this connecting word right here, conjunction, and. Not only have you got to do that, this is what you've got to do as well. The checklist is effectively and thoroughly designed as an instrument to aid in observing the relationships between the research best practices and actual practices in the school setting. I think you'll be okay there because we have looked at that and we've approved it, but I just want you to know they are going to look at that. So just make sure you go back and you've got every I dotted, every T crossed, and you are comfortable, very comfortable, not just comfortable, with the work that you're submitting. The same thing for AAPTEL Task 2. Remember, this was the gap analysis and needs assessment. Notice the wording again. You're going to exceptionally describe data collection strategies and findings in the process of identifying the gaps between actual practice and best practices research. Don't give them anything to question you about there. Not only have you got to do that, and you're going to thoroughly cite best practices literature review sources, and there's 3 ands there. You're going to strategically analyze the gap analysis to create a needs assessment in all 5 target areas. So make sure that you're comfortable with all of that. And this is in your AAPTEL documents as well. You can go back there and you can find this same instrument right here. Okay, for task 3, the one that you're submitting this week. Now, Dr. Revis, I went back and I looked at this, and again, we can't make your principal allow you to video record anything. If they say no, then you need to put a disclaimer in there and you need to say that, your principal wouldn't allow it. But you're still at the mercy of the evaluator because the rubric says the candidate works with others to create and video record a presentation. Now, Dr. Revis and I didn't put that in there, did we, Dr. Revis? This comes from Gardner-Webb. This is Gardner-Webb's requirements. This is what your evaluators look at. And in that, addressing prioritized needs developed in the prompt for task 3. The plan includes all of the following. Now, notice they're going to look for this: opportunities for teachers and staff to assume leadership, strategies for building efficacy, strategies for implementation of effective PLCs, support and coaching of emerging school leaders, and methods for formal feedback for teachers. Now, make sure that you are comfortable with what you put in your plan, that you are addressing in some form or fashion without any question these 5 areas in your strategies that you're planning to implement from the action plan of action or growth plan. And multiple uses of digital tools and or technology are consistently evident and effective. Make sure that that you're not giving them any reason. That's why I know, Dr. Revis, they have challenged some students with this right here before. So, do your best and make sure that you are covering it, to the best of your ability. And what you're going to be working on with the remaining 9 competencies, it's not a hard task, but don't take it for granted either. AAPTEL Task 4, narrative extensively analyzes. That means that you convince them that you have met that competency, um, both in your coursework and in your clinical experience. You make sure that you cover it well. Okay.
And there it says of the course content and clinical
Uh-huh.
experiences.
Right.
That's why we make you do both.
Right.
And of course, they score these very quickly. That's why you need to start out the first paragraph in my coursework, I, and second paragraph in my clinical work, I. Make it very obvious and evident to your scores.
Are, does does that make it clear what you need to be looking at as you do your self-analysis, your self-check, before um, you submit the final work to us? Now, those of you that work ahead, and some of them do, Dr. Revis, you know the process. Once we've cleared you with task 4, and some of you will go ahead and knock that out and get it done this week. I know you. Uh, it's okay. Just make sure you don't rush to say, I've got it done. Take enough time to make sure that when you get to that point, that there's no regrets because you want to push the button. Don't get trigger happy and just get too fast with it. However, we don't want to hold anybody back. Once you get task 4 and we've got it cleared, you know what to do. Go ahead and put it together. Send it for our review. You know the rest of the process. You know that you send it to us to give approval for the 4 tasks put together. Same process you did with the AAPTEL. Then we will tell you when it's ready to go to turn it in. Don't turn it in until we tell you to. And then once it goes there, we'll tell you to submit for an evaluation, but make sure that you only get one chance for turn it in, and make sure that when you submit it for evaluation, that we have told you that to the best of our ability, we know that it's ready. It's hard to believe that we're at this point, Dr. Revis, and saying what we're saying tonight.
It is. The process goes kind of quickly, and we allow you to work at your own pace. As long as you meet the deadlines, we allow you to work ahead so that you can bring closure to it and not just to sit on your laurels, bring closure to it and start looking at some of the work for your next semester. So,
Which we're going to do that week 14. We're going to help them with that as well,
right.
Dr. Revis, in week 14. But the last group assignment is going to be the AAPTEL case study. So I'm going to open that up, Dr. Revis.
Okay.
And do you want me to open up the directions?
Yes, let's look at the directions
Okay,
first.
let's look at that. Okay.
Now, before we even start here, guys, this case study goes along with the AAPTEL. What did you learn about in the AAPTEL? Teacher leadership and empowerment. So you need to put that hat on and look at this case study through the lens of teacher empowerment and leadership. Okay? So after you do the case, you read the case study. Everybody does that individually. And then there are 3 questions that you as an individual prepare the answers to coming into the Zoom. Now, again, I want to hear your answers being based on something more than, well, I feel like. Why do you feel that way? Because Whitaker says this, or because in the AAPTEL we did this, and not just I feel like. You have to support your thoughts with the research or with the process that we used in the AAPTEL. So you come to the Zoom meeting with the answers to your questions already prepared. Now, if you have a 4-member team, we would expect the last member who has not been the Zoom master to be the Zoom master. If you have a 5-member team, we would expect the last two of you to co-lead and co-facilitate this Zoom session. Okay? So the Zoom master schedules, sends out the link, and then records the Zoom session, making sure that you schedule when everybody can be available. So during the session, each member of the team shares their responses to the question, and then you engage in a discussion. It's okay if you all don't agree. It's okay. We would like to see you come to a group consensus about perhaps some suggestions of what this principal could have done differently. Um, but you don't have to, and you can learn from other people's ideas, and that's okay too. And you'll have time to share your reflection on the Zoom meeting in number 4. It says each candidate will write a detailed 1-page, 2-part reflective summary of the Zoom session or of the case study. The first part, you just reiterate the main points of the study. Don't go into a great amount of detail. You're just doing the prominent, important points. And then the second part is where you reflect on the takeaways from the scholarly discussion. Maybe something that you heard that you had not thought about, or you were surprised when all of you agreed, da 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 da, whatever. So you send in this reflection. You can send in your answers to the 3 questions, but we hear those on the video. But you must send in your 1-page reflective summary and the Zoom link. Okay?
Okay. Um,
Teacher growth and empowerment. Don't get sidetracked. Okay?
okay. And then I want to pull up the case study just for a second.
The 3 questions are at the end of the case study.
There they are.
So those are the 3 questions that you need to be well prepared for. Have you some evidence and documentation, and support for your contributions to the meeting.
And I'm going to say, when you read this case study, you're going to think, some of you may think, some of you may have lived it, but some of you are going to say, there is no way that this can happen. It does happen. It's for real. Um, I can promise you, Dr. Revis and I have worked at the superintendent's level. I can promise you, I have had to go out and visit schools and deal with principals in these situations. So
Yeah.
these are not, and I'm not saying, I'm not trying to prejudge anything. I'm just saying that sometimes you'll read these scenarios and you'll say there's no idiot. Yes, there is. It is the truth. So don't count it off. But go
Well,
ahead,
and I go back
Revis.
to the previous thing that I said on our the research and development Zoom. As a principal, you need to be prepared when you go into a staff meeting, a grade level meeting, a content area meeting. You need to be prepared with thoughtful questions. If you're going to give some directives, you need to be prepared and you need to make sure they're clear and you need to be thinking of all the what ifs on those directives. If you're going to give your teachers some leeway, that's fine, but make sure you're clear on the end product. But you have to prepare for your meetings.
Okay. Um, any questions about the case study? And again, that's not due this week, but we're going ahead and giving you the background, because you'll have to work on that next week when we're not coming together in class on Tuesday.
Dr. Stedman, do we want to show them where, just a reminder of where they find the document about putting all the tasks together, the process?
Okay, let me go back to the AAPTEL. Okay, it's back up here. Let me go to the top.
So, guys, once we approve for final submission on task 4, you go ahead and start putting it all together.
Give me a second, Dr. Revis. I'm having to, I got to go back up a little bit further. Okay, here it is. Let me go up under here. Come down. The AAPTEL. There we go. Under the AAPTEL, the resources and materials go to, and I know we put it there, process for combining the APSO and the AAPTEL. And it tells you again, step by step, what to do.
But do not skip steps.
Right.
Okay, we will guide you through that process, but do not skip steps.
Again, you see it's your cover page, your school profile, it's your cover page for the APTEL. Again, one combined reference section, APA, one combined appendices. And it just, again, it takes you step by step.
And all your work should be double spaced. Some of you need to check your settings in Word because you're getting an extra space in between paragraphs sometimes and in between sections. So everything needs to be double spaced. Just check that.
Okay. Let me stop share. Okay.
Guys, you're done.
That's it. We're here for questions at this point. Any questions? And I didn't expect a lot of questions, Dr. Revis, but it's okay to ask them. Don't think it's not okay to ask anything that you need to ask. Oh, I know, Dr. Revis, what I forgot to do. Go ahead and ask questions if you need to ask questions. I need to share the screen again. Let me go back up to.
I don't see a hand raised, not a one. That
Dr.
is
Revis and I
great.
sent this out earlier today, and you got it from Gardner-Webb University as well. You can go in our course shells under announcements, and you'll see for my class, I said, please see the information below. Let me just open it up. And Dr. Revis says the very same thing. Please see the information below from Gardner-Webb University that allows students to provide feedback for the fall 2024 experience. I would ask that you take the time to make a truly honest and value-added assessment. Thank you in advance for taking a few minutes of your time to complete the survey. Now, if you do the survey, and I hope you will, for my students, you need to do the survey and you base the class part of it, you base it on me. Dr. Revis's students, for the class part of it, you base it on her. Then you need to go to your internship shell as well. And for my students, you will base that on Dr. Revis. And then for Dr. Revis's students, you will base that on me. Now, you're grown people. It's America. just like we all voted last week. It's America. You can do what you feel like you need to do. But I would ask you that, you know, that's why I said to make sure that it's valid. If for some reason, let's say that individually, that Dr. Stedman had to get on to you because things were just not right. You know, don't let personal things affect how you validly look at the evaluation for growth, for program growth, for us, whatever. you know if we had to do our job, we had to do our job. So that, and I would hope that you're mature enough to look at that and to be honest and about things. So, and I think you will be. um
But our supervisors do look at those, and Dr. Stedman and I look at those, and we use those to grow and improve. And so we want you to take your time and give us honest, constructive feedback.
uh
Nicole, you had a question, and I'm not sure I
okay,
understand.
and somebody just sent it to
Okay.
put it in the chat box. But Nicole, if you have to, they're listed there, but go back and look at what you submitted for, or anybody, go back and look what you submitted, the 12 you submitted for the APSL, and you mark those off, and the 9 left of the 21 are what you have to do for the APTEL.
All right, I just listed them there. I just wanted confirmation is
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
Well,
Anybody.
somebody did some fast typing to type all that in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that was
And
it.
I think they're
Thank you.
in the helpful hints,
I
Don.
think they are, Nicole. I think they're there.
There's, it's all
But
21 listed in the helpful hints.
Okay,
okay, well
sorry.
then just go back and look at your others, and remember, all of you, and this is me, but I made some comments to some of you when you with the first round, and I said go back and to look at that, and there were no changes made. You've got to make changes in those before I can approve them, you know, at the end of this semester. So go back and look, even with your APSL, to make sure that you have adjusted anything that needs to be adjusted when you have to put all this stuff together for that as well. We'll talk about that week after next when you get all this stuff done. The rest of your folio stuff and your internship logs, we'll talk about that after you get all this stuff done. Okay. Any questions? Dr. Revis?
Well, let's say good
Let me
night.
just let me suggest something. You may not want to do it. You've got time. Somebody from your group, I would, if I were you, while I've got this time, I would go ahead and I would do a quick send out a Zoom link. I would meet with my team and I would go ahead and make plans for my case study and go ahead and get that at least on the schedule, and you'll know what to do. You don't have to. I'm just saying this is a good time to go ahead and to plan it out for next week sometime. Get it done. So
No
any
class next Tuesday. No class.
but now if you need us, you can reach out to us.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good evening.
I'm starting to get sad a little bit because I always get this way towards the end of a class, you know, to know that I'm not going to be able to read Stuart's anecdotes that he writes in his work, and I get the biggest kick out of that. Stuart, you saw my comments back today, didn't you? I've responded back.
Okay, thank you. I'll check that out.
I've responded back, but Stuart, you could be a stand-up comedian too, I think. So, but anyway,
Somebody had their hand up. Okay.
It was me. I
okay,
just had a
Salita.
couple questions, but I don't want to hold the whole class back. So y'all
Okay.
can wrap it up, then I can answer.
Okay, well, anybody that doesn't need to stay, you can stay, and Salita, just hold off for just a second then. Okay, bye guys.
Bye, guys.
Now, my question was,
Selena. Okay.
because you said we don't have class next Tuesday, which is the 19th, correct? Do we have class the next Tuesday, which is the
Yes,
day before
we
Thanksgiving?
will. We
So we will have
will.
class that Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay, then my next question was, I'm finishing up task 3 and I have the video. Do I just put the link in there or do you want it like me to figure out how to embed it?
No, you can put the link in there, but make sure with your presentation that you put lots of information about your presentation in there. And Selena, one of the things with the ones that have submitted work from our class, I've told them to go back and make sure that you have narrative dialogue in there about the presentation itself. You know, during the presentation, my principal said, or administration, or members of the school improvement team made the following comments. You want to to, to you want to add some added dialogue in there to make sure that your presentation went across well. And what does your principal actually intend to do? How did your team feel about it? In there. So not a lot, but I would go back and I would put a good narrative paragraph about that as well.
And then I just want to make sure because so I could record it properly. We did a virtual meeting. Is that okay?
That's good.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah. You just and make sure just show, and you can actually show that.
Mhm.
You can show that as well. Now, while I've got you, let me stop the recording. While I've